If you're a finance director in a startup and you're wondering why some people make it to CFO and others don't, this is where it can sometimes break. This is part of a series on how to become a CFO in a startup. And in this video, I'm really going to walk through the real reasons why finance directors get stuck and don't get promoted. If you stay to the end, then you'll know exactly what might be holding you back and what changes you might want to make so that you can step into that CFO role. My name's Alysha Randall. I'm a CFO. I've been working in startups since 2006, and I also wrote the book Financial Leadership Fundamentals: How to Become a CFO in a Startup or Scale Up. And if that topic sounds interesting to you, then please click on the subscribe button. So, a lot of finance professionals assume that becoming a CFO is just the natural next step in their career. You move from finance manager, then you go to, say, financial controller, then finance director, and then finally CFO. But in startups and scale ups, that progression can break, and some finance directors make either that step up too quickly, others don't, even within years of experience. And the difference is not your technical ability, it's rather how you're operating in the role. I'm going to go through main reasons why finance directors never become CFO. The first one is they stay too focused on reporting. So finance directors are really excellent at producing accurate management accounts, at running a really clean month end, like a well-oiled machine, and managing audit and compliance. But CFOs are not judged on reporting and delivering a really slick management accounts pack and accurate, useful reports. Instead, they are judged on decisions, on direction, and on impact. So if your value is still tied to, oh, the numbers are correct, then you'll struggle to move forward. CFOs are really expected to answer, what does all of this mean? And what should we do next? And if you're not doing that already, then you won't be seen as ready. So next time you pull your management accounts back together, start asking yourself the question, what do these results tell me about the future, and how can you use this information? Number two, they don't fully understand the business. Now, this is a big one with startups and scale-ups. Many finance directors stay too close to finance and not close enough to the business. So they know inside out the P&L, the variances, and the reports, but they don't really understand how revenue is actually generated, which customers or products really drive profitability, and how marketing and sales actually convert. And critically, in startups, it might also be how long the business has before it runs out of cash. And if you can't link financial data to growth, strategy, and runway, then you won't be brought into the conversations that really matter. So again, use these numbers to help you with these areas, not making them your main focus point. Number three is they basically don't influence decisions. They just hear about decisions after they've been made. So being in the room is not the same as influencing what happens in the room. So some finance directors might stick to what they know and only think about finance topics. So they present the numbers, they answer the questions, and they stay pretty neutral. But CFOs don't do that. They don't just think about finance only and not the rest of the business. Instead, they challenge the assumptions from around the business, not just the financial numbers. They have a point of view, and they will helpfully and hopefully guide decisions. And that requires an element of confidence, but also clarity and insight. So if you're waiting to be asked, and then you're already behind. So if you want to be able to find a voice in a boardroom, I did do a video on 5 steps to get your voice heard and be part of the conversation. So take a look at that above and below. Number 4, they get stuck into the detail. This is quite common. So strong finance professionals are often detail driven, detail orientated. It's your natural space, which is very useful early in your career. But at the CFO level, it can become a problem if you review everything, you get pulled into financial operational tasks, and you don't step back. So you do need to move from doing the work to deciding what really matters. And if you're still heavily involved in reconciliations, detailed review, fixing processes, then you won't have time for strategic work. I'll also say that this can be a problem with reporting as well. I have taken over from a CFO before when I was doing fractional work who was let go because of these issues. The prior board pack, for example, was pages and pages and pages of detailed numbers. And the board don't want to see that. They want to see what actually matters. Number 5 is that they don't build a team around them. So you can't operate as a CFO without a team, basically. If you're a CFO team of one, that's quite a challenging role to do. I've seen finance directors as team of one, but not CFO. Some finance directors might struggle to delegate, trust others, and step away from the detail, and so they can become a bottleneck. And they may even have a team, but they aren't utilizing the team properly, and therefore they can't grow the team. And I will say the finance team might not be happy with this setup either because they're not trusted and they're not given additional work and they can't step up in their own careers. So instead, a CFO really builds proper structure, a clear ownership, and then a capability within the team. And they also encourage their team to learn and grow themselves. A really strong leader gets the most out of their team rather than just giving them a task list to do. So if everything still runs through you, then potentially won't scale into a CFO role. Number 6 is they don't think ahead. So finance directors can often focus on what's happened and what needs fixing. Whereas a CFO really needs to focus on what's coming next, what needs to change, what risks are potentially ahead. And if you're not thinking far into the future and planning accordingly, then you're basically reacting, firefighting. So instead, you want to step away from the firefighting and carve out time to think and plan. I have said this many times and I'm going to say it again. In your calendar, I want you to book at least half a day at the end of every single month and block it out. I like to do Friday afternoons. And that is your thinking time and your planning time. And it is sacred, and you don't do anything else during that time but thinking and planning. And you keep a note of all the things that you need to think and plan about so that when that meeting pops up, you know what to do. Number 7 is they wait for the title. Now, I made this mistake, absolutely made this mistake much earlier in my career. It is a really big mistake. Some finance directors, including, wait until they're promoted to start acting like a CFO. This has a lot to do with confidence as well. In startups, and probably I'd say in a lot of businesses, or if not all, it works the other way around. You become a CFO by taking ownership early, by stepping into the strategic conversations, building relationships across the business, and the title will follow the behavior. You'll get the promotion because you are acting like a CFO, and that CFO gap there isn't one, basically. So you don't want to be told that a CFO has been hired above you to find out that you haven't demonstrated the skills yet. And it's a pretty tough pill to swallow, I know, as I said, because it's happened to me before early in my career, and it is heartbreaking. But in hindsight, I absolutely wasn't behaving as a CFO. And so the business, they made the right decision. So the gap between finance director and CFO, it's definitely not about experience and how long you've been there and what have you. It's about how you operate in the role. So people who make that transition and move beyond reporting, they really understand the business and are able to influence decisions. They can build a team around them and really take the time to think ahead, and they do that before they get the title. So if you're working towards a CFO role, then this is where you should focus. Not more technical knowledge, but how you show up in the business. We build the FLF framework it's in my book, and that's to help you build your skills and grow into that leadership role, and it can certainly help you with that transition. This is a part of a series on becoming a CFO in a startup or scale up. So you might find the first two videos useful. The first one was how to become a CFO in a startup, which we'll link above and below. And the second one was the 5 skills every future CFO must learn. Again, I'll link that one above and below. And if you want to see more videos on this series, then absolutely click on the subscribe button so then you'll see when the next lot of videos come up in this series. And if you want to become a skilled and strategic leader in a startup in the next 12 months, then your plan is to subscribe to this channel. It is to take a look at my book, Financial Leadership Fundamentals, to get a clear understanding of what's expected of you and so you can show up as a leader. And the third one, if you want additional support and Q&A sessions with myself, then you might want to take a look at the FLF course where we support you in that transition and with your career growth. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.